three variables, r, s, and t. And in order to solve for three variables, you have to have a minimum of three equations. So what we do is we have to take the first two equations and eliminate one of the variables. All right. If I look at this, I have 4 and 3, negative s and 2, and then 3 and negative t. So it's going to make more sense for me to get rid of the s or the t, because I cannot just multiply by one thing. To decide which one to get rid of, I'm going to look at the next equation as well. I have a 2, 3, and a negative t and a negative 5. I'm going to have to get rid of the same letter in the second set of equations as I did in the first set. So do we want to get rid of the s here or the t here? What do you think? Here we'd multiply by 2 and 3. Here we'd multiply by negative 5. Okay, we'll get rid of the s. So then we're going to get rid of the s up here. So I'm going to take negative 4r minus s plus 3t equals negative 9. 3r plus 2s minus t equals 3. Those are the first two equations. I'm going to multiply the first equation by 2 so that my s's will cancel. So when I rewrite that, I'm going to get negative 8r minus 2s plus 6t equals negative 18. And then the bottom equation will, of course, stay the same because I didn't do anything to it. And add those together. And what I end up with is negative 5r, my s's will cancel, plus 5t equals negative 15. Okay, so now I'm down to two variables. Step 2 is going to be to take the second two equations and eliminate the same variable. So I'm going to rewrite those over here. You're going to take the second two equations. So in the first step, we eliminate a letter out of the first two equations. In the next step, we take the second two. So the middle one gets used twice. But we have to eliminate the same variable. So whatever letter you get rid of in the first step, you have to get rid of the same letter in the second step. So we're getting rid of s. So in order to get rid of s, I'm going to multiply this equation times 3, which will make this a positive 6, and this equation times negative 2, which will make it a negative 6, so that they'll cancel. So I get 9r plus 6x minus 3t equals 9, and negative 2r minus 6x s plus 10t equals negative 58. And add those together. Okay, so now I have these two equations I've eliminated the s out of. I'm going to use these two to solve for either r or t. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this set because one's negative and one's positive, so that's going to make it easier to eliminate. And I'm going to multiply this equation by 7 and this equation by 5 to give me a negative and positive 35. So I'm going to get negative 35r plus 35t is equal to negative 105. And then I get positive 35r plus 35t 49 times 5 is negative 245. Okay. When I add these together, my r's will cancel. So I get 70t is equal to negative 350. Oops. And if I could type, I think I know it, but I just want to double check myself. 5, yeah. So I divide by 70. And t equals negative 5. Okay, so I found t. I'm going to use t to find r. So I'm going to come back and I pick either one of these. I'll just pick the top one because 5s are easier. But it doesn't matter. I would get the same answer no matter which one I used. I'm going to plug t in. So I get negative 5r plus 5 times negative 5 equals negative 15. So negative 5r minus 25 equals negative 15. Add 25 to both sides. You get negative 5r equals 10. So r equals negative 2. So I have t. I have r. I am still missing s. So my last step is to plug in those two answers found. Into one of the original equations. All right, so what I do is I can come back and I can pick any of those. So I'm just going to back up for just 1 second. I have 4r, 1s, 3t, 3r, 2s, 1t, 1r, 3s, 5t. I'm going to pick one of the top ones just as smaller numbers, and I'm going to pick the middle one because it's the smallest numbers. It doesn't really matter. So 3r plus 2s minus t equals 3. So 3 times negative 2 plus 2s minus negative 5 equals 3. So negative 6 plus 2s plus 5 equals 3. 2s minus 1 equals 3. 2s equals 4, so s equals 2. So my answer is an ordered triple, and it's going to go in alphabetical order, so it's going to be RST. So it's negative 2, 2, negative 5. I'm going to eliminate B because it seems like the easiest one to get rid of. So in my first two equations, I'll rewrite them. So 2a minus 3b plus 5c equals 58. Negative 5a plus b minus 4c equals negative 51. And since I'm going to try to get rid of b, I'm going to multiply. Stop it. I'm going to multiply this by 3. So do you see how that'll make my b's cancel? Nope, because this one's already negative. Yeah. So I've got the top equation staying exactly the same. And I get negative 15a plus 3b minus 12c is equal to negative 100. 13. Wait, hold on. I can't multiply in my head today. I am sleep deprived. 153. Okay, I was doing it right. Sort of. I'm going to add those together. And I'm going to get negative 13a minus 7c is equal to negative 95. Okay. So that was equations 1 and 2. Now I'm going to do equations 2 and 3. Maybe that'll help if I number them 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to rewrite those again. And I'm going to pause. No. Because we got rid of b the first time, we have to get rid of b the second time. So I'm going to multiply this equation by 8 so that my 8's will cancel. So I have negative 40a plus 8b minus 32c is equal to 51 times 8, negative 408. And then the second equation is not changing. I'm going to add those together to get negative 46a minus 31c is equal to negative 386. And yes, these are large numbers, but that doesn't necessarily mean your answer is going to be large numbers. Now we have to make a decision. Do we want to get rid of A or C? They're both ugly. You want to get rid of these two? 2a minus 15a gave me the negative 13a. Yeah, you use the two equations that you come up with to get your next set, to get rid of the next variable. So so our choices right now are, do we multiply by 13 and 46 or 7 and 31? I'm going to pick 7 and 31 just because they're smaller. It really doesn't matter. It'll be the same answers either way. And I'm going to multiply this one by negative 31 to make this positive, whatever that is. And I'm going to multiply this one by 7, so it'll be a negative, whatever number that is. Surprisingly, I don't have my 31s memorized. So 13 times 31 is 403a plus 217c is equal to 2,945. And then for my next equation, I have negative 322a minus 217c is equal to negative 2,702. Aren't those pretty? So add those together. So I get 403 minus 322. So I get 81a. My 217c's will cancel each other out. Is equal to 243. Divide both sides by 81. And I get a equals 3. So that's my first answer. I'm going to then come back to one of these equations. I'm going to use the smaller one. Again, I like to use the smaller ones because Well, they're smaller. So I have negative 13 times 3 minus 7c is equal to negative 95. So I have negative 39 minus 7c is equal to negative 95. I add 39 to both sides. I get negative 7c is equal to -56. Negative 56, thank you. And c equals 8. So now I have A and C. I don't know if it'll fit, but I need B. So I have to go back to one of my very original equations up here, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm just going to pick 1 because, again, it's smaller. Okay, so I have 2a minus 3b plus 5c equals 58. And I'm going to plug in A and C. So 2 times 3 minus 3b plus 5 times 8 equals 58. So 6 minus 3b plus 40 equals 58. So negative 3b plus 46 equals 58. Subtract 46 from both sides. So negative 3b is equal to 12. So b is equal to negative 4. Again, my answer is an order triple, and it's in alphabetical order, so it'll go A, B, C. So it's 3, negative 4, 8. That's my final answer. So yes, you do all that work so you can have 3 numbers. So with a 2 by 2 matrix, it's A times D minus B times C, C times B, or B times C. So if I have numbers in there, something like that, it's going to be 3 times negative 5 minus 6 times 7, or 7 times 6. It doesn't matter what order you write it in. So that's going to be negative 15 minus 42, so that would be negative 57. That's a 2 by 2 determinant. And 2 by 2 determinants can be used to solve a system of 2 equations. So we'll do that first, and then we'll do a 3 by 3 for a system of 3 equations. So in a system of 2 equations, ax plus by equals m, cx plus dy equals n, you have a coefficient matrix, which is AC, BD. So it's the x's over the next to the y's. So you see how it's the same exact order? Yeah. And the coefficient determinant is symbolized like that, is the same, AC, BD. So this is the determinant. And the difference between a matrix and a determinant is that a matrix has brackets and a determinant just has straight lines like absolute value. So to solve for x, the formula to solve for x is equal to mn bd over the coefficient matrix, which is ACBD. Okay, so actually what that equals is m times d minus n times b over AD minus CB, or BC. Doesn't really matter. But it's the same cross multiplying. So if you do the cross multiplying and subtracting and then you divide, that's what x equals. And y equals ACMN over ACBD. So if you look at it, you see when I'm solving for x, I replace x with the answers of the equation, essentially. And when I'm solving for y, I replace y's with the answers to the equations. So this would be AN minus CM over AD minus CB. So again, cross multiply and subtract. That's an A. That looks like a G or something. I don't know what that looks like. It's an A. So if I give you a system of equations, let's do 7x plus 3y equals 37, and negative 5x minus 7y equals negative 41. Now, the traditional way is we decide, do we get rid of this x's or the y's, we multiply the equations, we cancel things out, plug stuff back in. Well, with Cramers' rule, I do 37, negative 41, 3, negative 7, over 7, negative 5, 3, negative 7. So I cross multiply. So 37 times negative 7 minus negative 41 times 3 over 7 times negative 7 minus negative 5 times 3. So I'm doing that cross multiplication. For ease of space, this is going to be negative 259 minus negative 123. And this will be negative 49 minus negative 15. So negative 259 plus 123 is negative 136. And then negative 49 plus 15 is negative 34. So x is 4. So now I'm going to solve for y. I'm going to plug in to this formula. So I have 7, negative 5, 37, negative 41. And then if we go back, I already know my denominator, if you look, it's the same either way, right? So I could plug in all these numbers and do it again, but I already know it's going to be negative 34 because I've already done it. So the denominators are the same, so I'm just going to write negative 34 down. Yeah, that's negative 41. So then I do 7 times negative 41 minus negative 5 times 37. And like I said, the denominator I already had done, so I already know it. This is going to be negative 28. And 41. Sorry, thank you. Oh, darn it. My eraser's too big. That is not going to be 28. 41. Okay, so 7, negative 287. And then 5 times 37, so I've got minus negative 185, which will be negative 287 plus 185, so that's going to be negative 102 over negative 34. Positive. Yeah, because negative divided by negative, so I'm going to get positive 3, so y equals 3. So my solution to this equation is, what was x again, 4? 4, 3. That's my solution to the system. You have your determinant on a 3 by 3 matrix, so you want to take those first two columns and write them down outside. And then the pattern is the diagonals. So we have No, too skinny. We have yellow diagonals going down. Okay. And we take those and we multiply. A times E times F plus B times F times G plus C times D times H. And we add all those together. So these are the downward yellow diagonals. From that we subtract, and I'll do green, upwards green diagonals. So you have G times E times C, H times F times A, and let me rewrite that a little closer together so it's not so crowded, sorry. GEC, HFA, and IDB. And these are the upwards green diagonals. So first we go down from the top corner, and then we go up from the bottom corner. So that was a good catch. This is not F, this is I. All right, so here's my determinant that I want to find. I'm going to rewrite the first two columns. Okay. And then I've got my downward diagonals. So I have 2 times 6 times 3. I'm going to have to switch that to parentheses, sorry. 2 times 6 times 3. 1 times negative 4 times 5. And then negative 1 times negative 3 times 2. That's my first. These are my yellow. And then from that, I'm going to subtract green, going up. So I'll have 5 times 6 times negative 1, and then 2 times negative 4 times 2, and 3 times negative 3 times 1. Sorry, that's so crowded. 2 times 6 times 3, that's 12 times 3, so 36, plus negative 20, plus positive 6, minus negative 30, minus 16, minus 9. So I've just done the multiplication part. So this is going to be 16 plus 6, so 22, minus negative 39 plus 16. So negative 55. So that equals 22 plus 55. So the determinant for this is 77. Right here, yeah. No, it's parenthesis. It's a negative 20 because it was negative 4 times positive 5. Here's the pattern. So I have, A, B, so I have A, D, G, B, E, H, C, F, I, right? So these are the X's. These are the Y's. These are the Z's. And these are the, we'll just call them answers for lack of a better word. So if I'm trying to find X, I take that X column out and replace it with the answer column. When I'm trying to find Y, I take the Y column out and replace it with the answer column. And then when I'm trying to find Z, I take the Z column out. And that's the pattern. And that's the pattern for 2 equations. That's the pattern for 3 equations. If I gave you a 4 system and you did a 4 by 4 matrix, which I'm not going to give you, but it would be the same pattern. That's always the pattern. So if you learn the pattern, you don't have to memorize the formula. Does that make sense? And then the bottom is just the X, Y's, and Z's. So to find X, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll rewrite the formula. B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. And for that's the long version. So I'm going to have negative 14, 47, 15. MNP, right? MNP, BEH, CFI. Isn't that what I just wrote? Yeah. I just wrote out the coefficient matrix. So instead of doing this, I wrote it all out. Just so when we're filling it in. Okay, so then 5, negative 2, negative 6, and then negative 6, 7, negative 8. And that's going to be over 4, 3, 7, 5, negative 2, negative 6, negative 6, 7, negative 8. Okay, so I rewrite those first 2 columns. I've got my yellow going down. So I have 14 times negative 2 times negative 8. So do you guys mind if I just multiply that real quick and write it down? Or do you need me to write out like all the steps? Okay. So 14 times 2 times 8 is going to be negative 224.
So you went down first?
Yeah, it went down first. So that's the first column. And then 5 times 7 times 15 is 525. And then 6 times 47 times 6. So I have negative times negative, so I get positive 1692. That's my down.
So does it matter which way you start?
No, you start
Start down
and then subtract from that up.
Okay.
Yeah, you always want to start down. And then from there we go up. So I have minus 15 times 2 times 6. And there were 2 negatives, so that's 180. 6 times 7 times 14 is 588. And then 224. Yeah. 8 times 47 times 5 is, yeah, I'm just throwing in the negatives in a minute. Hold on, let me, so negative 224 plus smaller 525 plus 1692. and all that minus,
Well, 588 be negative.
hold on, it's 180. So I have negative, positive, negative. So there's two negatives, so it'll be positive 588. And then negative 1880 because negative, positive, positive. There. Is that a little clearer to read? Yeah, 1880. And then, again, those are my going up. So down first, then up.
So whatever that is, that's going to be divided by whatever the other number is?
Uh-huh. Okay, and we'll do the same thing for the denominator. Down first. So I have 4 times 2 times 8. So 4 times 2 times 8 is 64. And then 5 times 7 times 7, so that's 5 times 49, which is 245. And then 6 times 3 times 6, so that's 6 times 18. So plus 108. Minus green going up. So 7 times 2 times 6, which is 84. Negative, this one's going to be negative because there's only one negative. So I've got 6 times 7 times 4. So that's negative 168. And then this one also will be negative. So 8 times 3 times 5. Minus 120. Okay. So now I have to add all that up and do subtraction and stuff. So I have all of this ends up being 1993 minus negative 1112. And then all of this is 417 minus negative 204. Okay, now this number, 621, this is always your denominator for this problem. So you won't have to do that part again. And when you divide it, you get the whopping sum of 5. So x equals 5. We're going to do y. And remember, we already found this. Yay, that part's done. So 4, 3, 7, negative 14, 47, 15, and then negative 6, 7, negative 8. So I rewrite those first two columns. And I start with my, oops, that's not a straight line. Start with my downward multiplication. Again, I'm not going to write all of it. I'm just going to do the multiplication. So I have 4 times 47. Oops. So this is going to be negative, so it's negative 1504. No. I mean, yes. Yes, I did. So I have 14 times 7 times 7. Again, it's going to be negative. So I have negative 686. And to save space, I'm just going to write minus 686. And then 6 times 3 times 15. Again, negative, so negative 270. Yes. Then I'm going to do the green columns going up. $86. 270. So I have, this will be negative 1974. And I'm going to run out of room. Plus 420. And then I'm just going to write it up here. And then I have 8 times 3 times 14. Also positive, so plus 336. That's not too confusing, is it? Okay. And all that is going to be over 621. So I'm going to add up my first parentheses, and they're all negative, so I get negative 2460 minus negative 1218, and that's all going to be over 621. So I have 2460, so that gives me negative 1242 over 621. So I divide by 621, and I get negative 2. So y equals negative 2. Okay, so with z, I plug in all the numbers, and you know that 144715 just kind of moves over as you go. And then again, my 621 I already know. I'm going to rewrite my first 2 columns. I do my down diagonals first. So 4 times 2 times 15 is going to be negative 120. 5 times 47 times 7 is 1645. And 14 times 3 times 6, that can't be right. Okay, 252.
So it's negative 120 plus
1645 plus 252. and then I go up. I'm just writing it underneath because there's not enough room, obviously. 7 times 2 times 14, so that's 196. 6 times 47 times 4, and that one's going to be negative, so it's minus 1128. And the 15 times 3 times 5 is plus 225. And that's going to be all over 621. Add up each set of parentheses, and I get 1777 minus negative 707 over 621. Lots of sevens here. Equals 4. So z equals 4. So your solution to the whole system is x, y, z. So x was 4, 5? 5, y was 2, negative 2. And z is 4.